And hello, everyone. It's Thursday. And as I said in the pre-webinar banter, it's the day where no one is supposed to get any work done. However, we have a ton of people here today, more than our usual crowd, which is super fantastic. So glad you're here. I look forward to this. And there's nothing else distracting me from being here, if you know what I mean. A little bit of a rant today, but as always, the rants have facts. Not just talking out of my butt. I do have facts, or at least I have logic. Well, we're going to talk about the optimization argument. I still read stuff, and no one here has ever emailed me and said don't optimize, or optimizing is bad, or optimizing is good. But I read it all the time. I'm constantly reading, trading stuff. I'm just tired of it. All right, but we'll get to that in a second. Let me minimize that. We'll come back for questions later. Real quick, as we do sometimes at the top, my new ebook just became available today. What a surprise. I thought it would be like 72 hours. But no, it is on Amazon. This is a shot from my website, scottwelsh.me. And this is the book over here on the right, The Inevitability of Becoming Rich. And you can go to my website, and it's got the Amazon link. It's also on my Twitter. I've pinned it to my Twitter if you want to have the Amazon link there. Just in 2 seconds or less, it'll be a couple more than 2 seconds. I did an interview. I did some research on this master, a guy who has absolutely amazing thoughts that I'd never really heard before. And doing the research on this book has changed my life. I actually do not think the same anymore. It's just a totally unique perspective. And so it's an interview I did. A lot of questions that I had that I thought were relevant to problems that you may have. It's about 15,000 words. It's super cheap. All my ebooks are going to be super cheap. I don't want cost to be a problem. I'm basically this. I'm going to keep throwing stuff at you until your life gets better. That's basically my goal. I'm going to keep throwing ebooks, keep throwing webinars, and keep throwing trading systems at you until somehow you break through. All right? We never know if today is going to be the day we break through. I'm going to keep firing stuff at you until you get that day. All right. So anyway, you can check that out. It is on Amazon. You can look up The Inevitability of Becoming Rich or my name or whatever. All right, moving on. To optimize or not to optimize? That is the question. One more note too. It says at the top. Sorry. You may not follow me on Twitter. You know, I don't have a million Twitter followers, right? I don't plan to, whatever. But my tennis students have found me. I don't know what else to say. I taught, if you don't know, I taught teenagers for 22 years. They are precocious. They're highly intelligent. Almost all of them are great athletes / good students. In tennis, it's kind of strange. You get very, very smart kids and very, very athletic kids. You get a very interesting mix in tennis. It's very weird. But they found me on Twitter. So if you do follow me on Twitter and you see some comments, and they like to see me explode and get my head explode, right? They like to bother me. So I truly care about them. I'm not ever mad. But if you see weird exchanges, I'm just warning you. These people are great athletes, but they are not sane. They are strange teenagers, and they love seeing me get upset. Anyway, I am tired, Chris Rock, of people criticizing optimization, right? Don't curve fit. If you curve fit, you'll die. Your account will blow up. It's stupid to curve fit. People like even, and this is a very difficult thing to say, but like John Bogle is revered. Tony Robbins reveres him. He's done far more great things than I've done. All right, let's be honest. But if you read anything about John Bogle, these stuff that I've read is like, you can't time the market. Technical analysis is stupid. All you can do is index fund. That's the only thing you can do, which is basically saying there is no other way. There's no other way to optimize, and everyone is stupid. And this is what I believe, and I'm right. And that makes me angry. I don't like people who are closed-minded. I don't like people who are bullies. I really don't like bullies. And I don't like people who say things that they haven't really thought through enough, right? If the facts are there, then you need to change your opinion. If I say something today and facts show otherwise, I will change my opinion and go the way of the facts, right? That seems pretty simple, right? But there are people yet to this day who said never, never optimize because of curve fitting, and curve fitting will blow up your account. Okay, so what are the real dangers? Let's talk about why optimization is bad, shall we? Here is the worst case scenario of optimizing. Okay, you have your trading strategy. You think it's brilliant. So you take a small set of data and you test it. Okay, maybe 3 months, 4 months, 6 months back, but something that's recent, right? All that matters is what happens now, so let's just do a couple months, right? And there are ways to optimize, but we're not talking about that right now. Okay, you take just a few months and you optimize it. Ha! That looks good. Drawdown low, profits high. Ha ha! But what if I do this? What if I add the momentum indicator? Aha, now I'll only get in trades when the momentum is with me. Perfect. And you optimize that. And it gets better. And it's awesome. And then you maybe add one more filter and you keep tweaking and tweaking. And believe me, if you spend maybe 15 minutes to an hour on it, on that small data set, it will come out amazing. You'll see, if you're using trade size, you could see something like, I've seen them with my own eyes, $100,000 of profit and maybe a $3,000 drawdown. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? So then you think, I've done it. I mean, look at the money. If I can take a $3,000 account and make $100,000 of profit on it. Wow. And then you go live and it fails miserably. This is what the anti-optimizers are railing about. This is a way to do it that will not work. And when it doesn't work, when you take a small data set, just a few trades, 50 or under, 30 or under, a few months of data, whatever, something very small, and then you go live and it's like, well, I've never seen this losing streak before. That's when the anti-optimizers smile proudly and say, I told you optimization didn't work. It doesn't work. Put your money in an index fund and shut your mouth forever. At least that's what I think they say. All right. But think about where these people come from, the John Bogles of the world, or the people who just say index funds and are not open to anything else. Like Warren Buffett says index funds, but he's open to something else entirely, right? Think about where these people come from who criticize optimization. Most likely, almost always, but again, I'm open-minded, most likely it's from buy and hold index funders, right? You buy something and you hold it for 10 years. And we're specifically talking about the stock market because you can't buy and hold in Forex. No one can prove that ever. And you can't buy and hold really in well, maybe you buy and hold in futures a little bit more, but not, from what I've seen, not great. We're talking only stocks, right? So these people have limited themselves to stocks, and they say, well, if you just buy and hold and you can't time the market, if you just get in and buy and hold, you do just as well or better than someone who's actively. And there is research to show that, okay? But that's where they come from. You put it in, and you never, ever change, right? Buy and hold doesn't optimize. How do you buy an index fund, you never do anything again. Where's the optimizing, right? Of course there's no optimizing. And the stock market goes up and averages 7% a year, and they say, what do I need to do all that work for? If I had optimized, I would have made less. And there's the argument. So are you convinced, right? Are you convinced? Is optimizing bad? Well, let's look at it really. What are we talking about? Let's just use an example, and if this isn't a good example, feel free to yell at me. That's fine. But if you use a small sample, it doesn't work. Let's try to take it into the real world, okay? If 10 people come into Starbucks, right, in the next 10 minutes, if 10 people come in and 5 buy coffee, right, could you then say, you're optimizing, look, I took a small data set, and I looked at it, and I said, 50% of all people buy coffee, 50% of everyone who walks in the door. Ha-ha, I optimized, right? And that's too small. You see what I'm saying? Well, but that's not all. Further, let's say 2 of those 5 coffee buyers have hats on and they order ventis, right? Look at your filtering. You're filtering hats. You're filtering size of drink, right? We're adding filters on. So 2 of those 5, right? Well, then it's not logical to say that all hat wearers order ventis. You can't say 50% of people who walk in will order coffee for the rest of time, and you can't say that every hat wearer orders a venti, right? It's just a couple people, right? If you're standing there with your buddy in Starbucks, how many people would take that bet? And your buddy says, those last two people wore hats and they ordered ventis. I'll bet you $10,000 the next hat wearer is going to order a venti. I'd take that bet. You'd take that bet. Anyone in their right mind would take that bet because there's no basis. The sample size is too small, right? There is no way that any of us would bet 10,000 that the next hat person buys a venti, right? And it might. But honestly, if you bet 10,000 on every other hat wearer the rest of the day, what do you think your account would be at the end, right? It doesn't make sense. But what if you went to Starbucks every day for 5 years, 10 years even, right? And you went between 8 and 12 and just studied those particular people. And you studied every single order and maybe divided up into demographics, maybe older people, younger people, maybe how many orders between 8 and 9, 9 and 10, right? But if you just went in that specific time of day and you studied it for 5 years or more based on those thousands and thousands of orders, right? Do you think that maybe you could pick up a pattern? Right? I think so. And what would you be willing to bet on the next series of orders, right? If you found out that between 8 and 9, you looked at 100,000 people, and between 8 and 9, the average person spends $2.50. Would you be willing to bet the next series of bets that the average person is going to make $2.50, right? I think you would. If you had that data, I absolutely would. Would you? And if you say no, I want to know why. Because what do you need, more research? Or are you just going to just say, nope, there's no basis in that. Just because this has happened for 5 to 10 years doesn't mean it's going to happen again. I think you should just buy and hold Starbucks orders, whatever, right? No, it seems very clear, doesn't it, that if you did that specific data, that specific research for that amount of time, you could have a very good idea, not exact and not perfect, but you could have a high probability, right? Human nature repeats. You see what I'm saying? All right, think about it another way. What if you could get odds, right? What if you could get odds? And these are the two bets that are offered to you. What if you could win just $1 a day if anyone bought coffee, right? It's like buy and hold, right? It just said, the stock market eventually is going to go up. So buy and hold it and eventually go up. Well, probably someone who walks into Starbucks is going to order coffee, right? It's a pretty safe bet, right? Maybe Starbucks is closed, right? And you don't win $1 that day, or, maybe whatever. For whatever reason, you may not win that day, all right? Or maybe, there might be a coffee scare. Or maybe a particular Starbucks closes, right? It shuts down for a week or whatever, so you don't make your dollar, right? There are all sorts of things that can happen in the stock market, all sorts of things that could happen to your Starbucks. But it would be pretty safe to say, I just win $1. Okay, fine. Would you take that? Or if I gave you all this research, 5, 10 years or more, and gave you specific demographics and specific targets and told you if it comes within that, or if the average per that day is $2.50, as it turns out, you could win $10. What would you do? Okay. Would you take the chance to win 10 times as much with the research, or would you say, oh, research, SME-search, I'm just going to take $1, right? I mean, in essence, this is the argument. This is the war between optimizers and anti-optimizers. Optimizers say, if we just do a little research, we can get an idea of what's going to happen. It's got to be a lot of research. We really do have to do the work. But isn't it possible to figure out what the buying patterns is on the Starbucks or anything else? Traffic patterns, whatever, right? Or is it best to just put your head in the sand and say, no, I know a basic truth and I'm willing to bet just a little bit amount of money and not do any work, right? But the bottom line is studying Starbucks a waste of time? Is optimizing a waste of time? Clearly not. Well, at least clear to me. All right. That all being said, though, okay, just after I made the argument, I've been searching a lot in the past several weeks. I've been searching for a set of parameters. I want, right, there's a part of me that just wants to be able to come to you and say, listen, here are some very general settings. Put them on a chart and you can make a decent amount of money. No, you won't make as much as you would if you optimized, okay? But I just want something that's one size fits all. I want something that's buy and hold-ish, but it actually has some parameters and not just buying an index fund. And I've been searching. I've been doing a lot of searching, all right? And here's how it went, all right? Using standard turtle-esque settings. If you know your turtles, your famous turtle experience, you know that they're breakout guys. They buy on breakouts. If price breaks above a certain level of the past several days or bars, something's up and they buy. I think they use 20 and 55. I think those are their two parameters. I use 50, all right? I just use a round number, 50, but that was right near where turtle. And I use a 10-period trailing stop, okay? This is very typical for turtles, very much similar, right? Look up the turtle rules and you'll see it's very similar. And of course, I already have a robot built for this, for TradeStation and for MT4. So I just took the standard and I never changed them. And I just started running through charts, right? Because the turtles methodology is pretty darn close to eternal, right? Breakouts and trend following is eternally true. So I thought this would be a good idea, right? Now you know why I spent my time. You never waste time. You learn stuff. Okay. I looked up Apple, right? Put 50 and 10 on it on a daily chart, right? I went long only. Why? In the stock market, stocks go up, right? Buy and hold index funders, right? Stocks go up. So I did Apple, right? High flyer. Do you want to see? I don't know if you like seeing these charts. I'll just do a couple of them, okay? Couple of them. There's Apple, right? Now look, it breaks out and we get winners. Winner, 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 winner. Look at all those winners, right? I am on to something. Daily chart. And this is from 2003 to 2017, right? Roughly a $10,000 account. Actually, you could trade on a little bit less. But anyway, maybe a $5,000 account. We made some good profit, right? Drawdown, not too bad, right? Haha, excellent, okay? So that's what, Apple, good. Google, good. Amazon, good. They're all thrive. Drawdown's not too great. Breakouts are good. On a small $5,000 to $10,000 account, you're going to make money. I was pretty excited. This is fantastic. Use trend following, use the same settings, and then I can put together a course or put together a webinar, and I can give you these settings, and we can go on. Okay. But as soon as we put the same settings on other things, oh, let's try retail. I like A&F, Abercrombie & Fitch, because their offices were like 5 minutes away from where I used to live in Ohio. Okay, so I'm very familiar with Abercrombie & Fitch. Just so you know what bad looks like, we put A&F on the chart, right? Oh, it broke out. No, it didn't, right? And let's just take a look. Again, same period, same settings, same everything. Oh, neato. This is about 11 years of testing, right? 11 years and 5 months. Let's say you chose Abercrombie because you believe in retail or you live 5 minutes away from their offices, and you trade that for 11 years and you lose $600. How'd that feel, right? Would that feel great? No, sir. No, ma'am. That would feel awful. And guess what? Coach, COH, the same, losing. 11 years, lose money. AEO, same thing, losing. All retailers, all of them tank hard. Well, that stinks. So if I pick these, I win. If I pick these, I lose. Well, that's confusing, all right? But then I did more. I did HD. I've studied Home Depot for a while, right? If you study your great stock breakouts over the history, HD is one of them, so I tend to go back to Home Depot. Home Depot, breakout's good, makes money over that period. Then I went to United Health, bad, right? Totally unrelated. United Health, lost money. IBM, pretty good. Surprisingly, IBM went through some tough times, right? Jill's son works for IBM, right? He seems to be doing just fine, right? So that was good. Oracle, bad. Well, aren't IBM, Oracle kind of the same? I mean, they're not the same, but they're kind of the same, right? So wait a second, right? We had tech went up, retail didn't, then some tech goes up, some tech loses, some retail does good, right? Is Home Depot retail kind of? Health bad, right? I can't come to you and say, use these settings, just slap them on a chart. I don't know if it's going to work. I have no idea. I mean, I could guess, I suppose, but I mean, it was completely, when I was studying these, it was completely hit or miss. All right, that's not all I did though. I switched over to Forex, and I did not change the settings because trend following is universal, right? That is a fact, right? The concept, the concept is universal, right? So I put EUR GBP. There it is, right? And I ran it over from 2002 to 2017. The exact same settings, right? I went long and I went short, right? Excuse me. This is pound yen, right? I was going to show you that third, but I'll show it to you first. Oh, look, right? I could obviously up the trade sizes, but long direction, lost over 11 years plus. Short, lost, and it lost overall. Yippee! And there's EUR GBP as promised. And let's take a look. Again, from January 2002 all the way to now, long trade. So if you went only long, you made money. Not a lot, but you made some. But short was awful, right? Short would have lost money over this period and overall, right? So we have pound yen that lost on both breakout directions. But euro pound is good long, but bad short. And then you have, of course, euro dollar. And how did euro dollar do? Again, same period, same settings, same bat channel, same bat time. Hey, it's pretty good, right? Again, you could trade on a little smaller account, right? But make some decent money. Short, good. Long, decent. And we win. Wait a second, all right? If we keep the same settings, euro pound long is only good, euro dollar is good both, and pound yen is bad both. So some tech stocks, great. Retail, bad. Some retail, good. Some tech, good. Some tech. What would you do? I mean, what do you think of all this? All right. All right. Before you answer, we're using in this experiment standard settings that make sense, right? This isn't some cockamamie scheme, right? This makes sense. If price breaks above the high of the previous 50 days, there is no disputing that something is going on at that moment, right? Price has gone sideways and now it jumps, right? I'm not talking about volume because volume would help. It's probably a stock, right? But we're not talking about that. If something happens and it breaks out, there is action. This is a good idea. A big move is imminent, right? Well, at least it appears so. Think about this. The next great stock winner, the 1,000%er, the 10,000%er, the 10-bagger, the 100-bagger. Guess what? The next big winner will do this. It's not possible to argue. If it's going to go to the moon, it's going to break above the high of the previous 50 days. This is sound methodology, guaranteed. There's no disputing it. So this is not silly to do. Yet, I'm screaming now, it doesn't work on everything. You could trade it for 11 plus years and have nothing to show for it. Oh, you have something to show for it. Less money. Okay? Some types of stocks are fine doing this. Some aren't. Some sectors are better than others. We saw that. Some are terrible. And sometimes you could have the two in the same sector and it varies. Like, there's just no way to predict it, at least that I can see. Maybe you can. In Forex, some pairs go great in one direction, some don't, some are bad in both. So what would you do? Pause for dramatic effect. What's the solution to all this, right? Buy and hold everything. All right, buy and holders, by the way, go ahead and buy and hold a currency and hold it for 10 years. I'd love to see what happens. But anyway, what would you do? If you want to trade Forex future, what would you do? Well, clearly, you could just pick the ones that respond, right? Just pick the tech stocks. Just pick the ones that break out. Why can't we just do that? We don't have to trade everything. As it says on my card, isn't that optimizing? Aren't you picking and choosing, right? If you're buying and holding an index fund, you don't go in and pull some stocks out of there, right? You buy and hold everything. So if you are going to use these settings only on certain things, guess what? You're optimizing, and that's a good thing to me, right? Or You could say, listen, I know trend following is universal, but these particular settings, right, don't work for everything. Maybe 50 bars is waiting too long. Maybe the breakouts on Oracle or something else or ANF happen at 20 bars. Maybe by the time it breaks out at 50 bars, we've missed the whole move and it's topping out at 50. But the breakouts work, but the settings don't. Whoa, I'm screaming. Do you get it? Do you see what I'm saying? You optimize. Anyway, so maybe you go to ANF and maybe a 20-bar breakout. Or maybe there's a lot of false breakouts, right? People in retail get squirrely. So anytime price gets to a new high, people freak out and say, no, I'm going to short that, right? Retail stocks over the long term are going down. I'm shorting that. Breakout, phony. And maybe you need to wait to 100 bars, 150. And then you've gotten all the noise out of there, and now you've got something that actually is meaningful, right? Or you could just, like I said, throw some out altogether. Maybe just go long, maybe just go short, right? But no matter what we discuss, the answer to being successful is to optimize. Do you see? Right? We have to optimize. Unless you're a buy and hold indexer, there is no argument. If you want to make good results, you have to optimize. Now, the real test to anything you think is put it in the real world. Does it make sense in the real world that you see every single day? Oh, well, we haven't talked about tennis yet. Let's do it. How did I handle my tennis lessons? Did I have a buy and hold, one-size-fits-all methodology? Did I give the same lesson for 22 years? All right, first 5 minutes, forehands, next 5 minutes, backhands. The same instruction, no matter what, no matter how athletic, how experienced, what grips, what background, boy, girl, right? Just the same lesson with good, solid fundamentals. Of course not, right? I have never given the same lesson, or I never gave the same lesson in 22 years, right? Someday, I think my longest teaching day was something like 10 and a half, 11 hours. I was on court for 11 hours one day, let's say. I believe that's my all-time record. I gave 11-hour lessons, and I didn't teach any of them the same. Right? Some fundamentals bleed over, but each one was different, sometimes dramatically so from hour to hour. Someone came in and watched a lesson, the next lesson was totally different in many cases, right? Of course, certain fundamentals work throughout teaching someone or training system, but each person in tennis needed specific optimized instructions, right? If one instruction doesn't work for someone who's number one in their age group in the Midwest is not going to need this, is not going to respond to the same thing that someone who's just starting. It doesn't make sense. Hit that forehand inside out with an open stance. Okay, beginner, try it. Doesn't work, right? But think about this. Which lesson would you prefer? If you signed up for a tennis lesson or a golf lesson or anything lesson, what would you prefer? The same lesson that everyone else has gotten? Or if you signed up for a series of lessons and you got the same lesson every time until you get it, right? Or would you rather do something specifically for you? Which do you think would make improvement, right? Which would work better? Huh? See? Am I making my point? Am I clear? Bottom line is, sorry for ranting, don't be afraid to optimize. Don't use those small samples and don't be in a rush, but don't be afraid to optimize. It's practically or definitely inarguable. It's how you're successful. Tailor your instructions to the customer and you'll be successful. Okay? Let's see if we have any questions or comments, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Oh, let's go. Here we go. Scrolling down. I'm not very good at these questions. Anyone notice? Why no work done today, says Terry. It's March Madness. Blech. I call it March Badness. I couldn't be less interested. I'm sorry. I used to be, when I was 20, I was really interested in NCAA March Madness. I'm not. Anyway. Buy and hold. The humbugs of investing. He says funny. That's funny. Anything else? Oh, Daniel says. Let's see. Oh, Daniel says, sorry, scrolling, it skipped. How big a sample size to have confidence? Well, and that gets into specific, and that's a tough answer. Here's a number, I'll just give it to you. And again, everything is optimized. I love 500 trades. I do. But that's on the lower on the absolute lower time frames. We're talking 15 minutes and under. I love 500 trades. That's a guideline. Does 100 trades work on upper time frames? Yes. Could you go as high as 1,000? Yes. Could you go as high as 5,000? Yes. What I like more, and other people will vary, right? I'm not the only back tester in the world, but I like over a long period of time. So in other words, I'd say, take your data past or back 5 to 10 years, right? That may or may not get you X amount of trades, but I think that you need to incorporate a lot of different market conditions to me, right? When I was a manual optimizer, that's what I did. I would spot check a bunch of different markets, and that actually worked out quite well for me. Now, obviously, I can do it in more detail, but I would try to see how your strategy behaves in many different markets over time. That is a great way to build confidence, right? Anyway, let's wrap it up. You can obviously email me if you have questions or whatever. The book is done, as I said. You can go on Amazon. It's only $2, right? Like I said, it's going to be cheap. Love for you to pick it up and love to get any feedback. And Amazon booksellers always tell you to leave reviews. Hopefully not negative ones. But if it stinks, if you think it stinks, you got to do what you got to do. I think it'll help you, though. I did another new video for the old 50% per year course. Did another update video. I'll do another one next week. So I keep adding stuff to that older course. If you're interested, you can buy that. And there, like I said last week, you did get a free weekly pivot robot in that. The new trend following strategy is done. It's adding positions. I've started testing it, and it's not much different than my original. It makes more money and it loses more money. Almost exactly in proportion. I need to do a lot more work on this, but it is done. I did finally get it back. I'll keep digging. I want adding positions to work. I can't tell you how desperate I am to have a trading strategy that I can stack positions on. I've never been able to mathematically prove it. My mind knows it should work. It feels like it should work. I've just never been able to prove it. Always love your feedback. Been getting some great emails and feedback lately, so I really, really appreciate that. You can go to the Contact Me page on my website, scottwelsh.me, and send me a message. I get those. It's been working very well. We're over 610 on YouTube. That's where the recordings of all these go. And that's it, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hopefully you get some work done, and I'll be back. Oh, by the way, on Fridays, I've been posting posts on my other blog too, my self-help blog. So look out for that. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll get updates on those new blog posts too. On that, I'll be giving just tips that I think I'm only going to write stuff down that I think can maybe make you better somehow. Stuff that I've been teaching for 22 years, and I'm just trying to share it. So anyway, that comes out on Fridays if you're interested. That's all, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.